Punnett squares.
Scientists use Punnett squares to determine the genotypes and phenotypes of offspring.
This is a basic Punnett square with a dominant gene is A and a recessive gene is little a.
The genotype is defined as the genes of an organism, the letters that describe this, capital for dominant and lowercase for recessive. The phenotype is the physical expression of these genes.
Mendel was a famous scientist known for his experiments using pea plants. He would test if two genes were inherited together in dihybrids.
Mendel created the law of independent assortment. This is when two or more characteristics are inherited individually. Hereditary factors assort independently during gamete production, giving different traits an equal opportunity to occur together.
Dihybrid cross is a Punnett square, but when you consider two traits, each carried on a separate chromosome. Let's say you wanted to do a cross between two brown bunnies with long ears. In this case, brown fur color, big F, would be dominant gene, and white fur color, little f, would be the recessive gene. Then long ears, big E, would be the dominant gene, and short ears, little e, would be the recessive gene.
When starting your dihybrid cross, you first want to determine the genotypes. For this situation, the genotypes for both parents would be big F, big E, little e. From that, you are able to find the separate gametes.
You need to find each gamete for both parents. You do this by finding each combination of the homozygous and heterozygous genes, which are represented by the letters. The gametes found are big F, big E, big F, little f, big E, and little f, little e.
Now you can create your 4x4 Punnett square and line up one parent's gametes along the top and the other parents along the side. In this case, since both parents' genotypes were heterozygous at both loci, the gametes are the same for both parents.
Now you can finish your cross by combining the two gametes, the cross to create a new genotype. For example, when you cross big F, big E with big F, big E, you get big F, big E, and continue to do that for each box with your Punnett square.
When you finish filling out your Punnett square, you can figure out what the phenotype is for each box and count how many of each were formed.
When you finish counting the phenotype, you should find that there are 9 brown fur with long ears, which is homozygous dominant, and then there are 3 white fur and long-eared bunnies with 3 brown fur and short-eared bunnies, which is heterozygous. And lastly, there is 1 white fur and short-eared bunny, which is homozygous recessive.
This is a commonly known trait called the 9:3 to 3:1 ratio. This is commonly known and it was found by Mendel. This comes from the law of independent assortment, and it is a ratio of homozygous dominant, which was the 9, heterozygous, which was the 3, the other heterozygous, which was the other 3, and homozygous recessive, which was the 1.
Punnett squares help us determine the probability of inherited traits, and that's why we heart them. Yay.